up, Nick? We're going to be doing a hamstring stretch against the rack. So here we have the orange band. Keep that to the side, we'll use that for later, but let's go ahead and show the stretch with the rack. So we're going to be sitting up nice and close and personal to the rack. Oh yeah. So basically going to be scissoring the rack. Good. Placing one leg on top. Getting real close to the rack so there's not much space between the leg and the rack. Keeping his knee locked out, laying flat, other leg is down. Keeping the knee flat, dorsiflexing with the foot, so toes pointing towards you. And you can sit in here at least 2 minutes. 2 minutes per leg. And to make the stretch even a little bit more intense, we can go ahead and grab the orange band. Any band would work. You're going to put it around the base of the foot, and manually with your own hands you can just keep the foot dorsiflexed. That way you can keep the leg locked out, get a bit of a stretch in the calves as well. And just like that, stretching out both hamstrings, both legs, at least 2 minutes per side. Okay, here we have an orange band, medium thickness, tied to the bottom of the rack here. Alright, so Nick's going to go ahead and step in. This is going to be for the hamstrings. Stepping in, facing away from the rack, placing it high on the leg, high up on the leg, perfect. And with that leg, he's going to have a staggered stance. So go ahead, Nick, into your staggered stance. So he's going to keep the right leg, the one that's in the band, locked out. So knees locked out, have a staggered stance, and he's going to bend forward. Try to keep the back flat, reach down as low as you can, and we're going to stretch out the hamstrings right here. From this position, we can also move side to side at the bottom. Find any tight spots, sit in the tight spots. So say it's on the left side, you can sit there, same as with the right. And for about 2 minutes per side, we'll be in this stretched position. This next one is for the adductors as well as being for the hamstrings. So we've got the medium thickness band choked around the low end of the rack. One leg is inside, and we have a yoga mat here that's going to be cushioned for our knees and as well as like our hands or forearms. So we're going to go ahead and go into a frog stretch position. So what that is, it's going to be on all fours, pushing the knees out, creating space, trying to really open up the hips. Our feet are pointed out like this, trying to keep the ankles down, and hands and knees all fours position. So the band is pulling back, creating space between the femur and the pelvis as we're stretching out the adductors while opening up the hips. So you can sit in this position. As we get more comfortable, we can also pulse backwards or try to sit further back as well. So there you go, Nick. Try to sit even further back if you can. Good, good, good. There you go. And so we'll sit at least 2 minutes per side, 2 minutes per side on each of the legs. Alright, here we have a bit of a thicker band. This way it doesn't really slip off, but we're going to be stretching out the adductors a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and get back, get one leg inside. And we are going to be lateral to the rack. So sideways to the side. We're going to get into the frog stretch position. So all fours pushing the knees out and keeping the feet out as well, just as Nick is doing. It's a good way to create space or just to open up the hips. And he's based up onto his forearms, and he can kind of walk a little bit closer back as he gets more comfortable holding the stretch. So it's really stretching out the adductors just being in this position, as well as creating space between the joint. And he can pulse back and forth as he gets more comfortable, and also just finding just different spots that are tight, sitting in those 2 minutes per side. And good stuff, Nick. This stretch is for the hip flexors and the adductors. We're going to go get the bands on the low rack position, and we're going to go ahead and step in one leg at a time. So we're going to focus on the outside leg with the outside leg inside. We're gonna take it to a 45-degree angle, so coming out diagonally. We're gonna get into kind of like this runner's start position. So Nick's leg that's in the band is gonna be up front, and then the back leg is gonna be stretched out, extended out. And so we're out at a 45-degree angle. Arm is inside, pushing out against the knee, pinning it down as well with the arm. And then from here, Nick's gonna be pushing out against his knee, getting a deep stretch here. And to make this stretch even more intense, what Nick can do is he can push out the foot, kind of roll it out, kind of open up the hips a little bit more. Good, good. And he can also kind of rotate, circumduct the hips a little bit, and try to feel in there if there's any tight spots that need to be focused on. And just like that, we'll hit about 2 minutes per side at least. If there's a wonky spot, even longer. The next one is going to focus on the front of the hip flexors, my personal favorite. So we're going to be using this band here. You can also use a thicker band if you would like. So we're going to go ahead and step inside, and we're going to be facing the rack this time. So one leg in, the same leg that's in with the band is going to be the leg that goes back. So you can take it far back, get good tension, find a point of tension where you're getting a good pull. And so from this position, we're not going to be hyperextending back. Make sure to stay fairly neutral. We're going to squeeze the glutes to further stretch the hips. And then what we can also do to hit the psoas is we can place our hand onto our head and then leaning over to the side, get a bit of a psoas stretch. So psoas is a hip flexor as well that runs into the abdominals on the side. And Nick, try placing your fingertips onto the back of your head. There you go, just like that too. Reaching over, nothing excessive, no hyperextension, and stretch out the hip flexors as well as the psoas. 2 minutes per side. Okay, so here we have a red micro mini band. You could also use a thicker one if you're comfortable with it. But what we're gonna do is place it behind our back. This is going to be a good way to open up the hips, stretching out the adductors even more. So we're going to get up close to the wall here, and what I like to do is sit up sideways against the wall. And here we're going to go ahead and place one leg in at a time. So there you go. It's a little tough. You got to really fight against the resistance. Good. And then keeping that leg bent, we're going to get the other one in as well. There you go. It's a little tough, especially if you're tall. It's a little challenging. Good. Alright, so we have it around the feet, and so we're up against the wall, and we're going to go ahead, turn, and base up against the wall with our legs splayed out. He's gonna roll onto his back. There we go. And from here, we're gonna open up the legs, do this controlled slowly, make sure you don't overstretch too rapidly. There you go. Getting as close to the wall as possible, very nice. There you go, so open up the hips. And you can even use your hands to assist you to help bring up your hips even, or bring up your legs even further. Keep the legs locked out, and we're just gonna sit in here. So gravity's already gonna be doing its job of pushing the legs down, especially over time as our muscles tend to relax and we can get even further. But the bands will give even more of an assistance to help open up the legs. So sit in here, 2 minutes at least. Really let those adductors loosen up and stretch out the hips even further. here we have Nick, and we have a high box. So this one is about 30 inches up, but yeah, pretty much going to aim for a higher box. We have a medium thickness band on the lower part of the rack. So we're going to go ahead and step inside. This stretch is going to be for the glutes. We're going to step inside. Same leg that the band is wrapped on, we're going to bring onto the box. So his left leg is in the band, left leg is on the box. It's going to be in like kind of like this pigeon stretch position, leg propped up in like a 90. So his leg's in. His other leg is just going to be extended back out, and from here he's going to come forward, try to keep your back flat, and come forward, bring your chest down, and feel the stretch on the glutes as it's pulling your femur and leg back. So from here you can go side to side, go to different corners, find any tight spots there, and you want to sit in those tight spots. So each tight spot, you want to sit in there for a good 2 minutes or so. Good. For this stretch, we have the medium thick orange band as well, or again, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a bench, and we're going to wrap it around the knees behind the back, stretching out the glutes. So let's show them how we do that, Nick. So, band behind the back. There you go, get it around each knee. There you go, so behind the back, around each knee. And from here, we're going to go ahead and cross one leg over, figure 4. And in this position, you may already feel a nice stretch in the glutes, but we're going to go ahead and take it forward. So walk forward, take it forward, and we're going to go side to side as well, finding different spots that are tight. Oftentimes we have different tight spots than others, so make sure you find them. Sit in each position of tightness for about 2 minutes, and still keep the back relatively flat. Remember, just hold that stretch. 2 minutes per side, per wonky spot. We're really going to get a good stretch in the glute medius as well as the TFL. And there you have it. So next one, we're going to mash out the glutes, primarily the glute medius. So here we have a lacrosse ball, kind of the perfect texture. It's a little bit squishy, so not as hard as certain other balls, but it's very dense. You can also use the LAX ball, or if you don't have either, you can use like a tennis ball. If you're crazy, you can use a golf ball, anything like that. So basically, we're going to have the ball laying down, and we're going to focus on just laying on it. So we're almost like in a side plank position, and on the glutes, find like your hip bone, and it's going to be more towards the back, so really side of your glutes towards the back of your buttocks, and we're going to roll around on it. You can go circular, circumduct, go up and down, just lay on it. If it's really tight, literally just sit on it. You want to make sure you kind of relax, so take deep breaths. Don't tense up your legs. Try to get deeper and deeper by just relaxing. And work in there, find any trouble spots, 2 minutes per trouble spot. And from here, you can also base up the leg into the figure 4 position. So if we're focusing on the left leg, or left glute, we can prop up the left leg to the figure 4. So left leg is up, and we're going to be focusing on still on the glute medius. So from here, you can sometimes get your piriformis muscle a little bit better. Often gets really tight from normal activity or just from sitting. So working there, 2 minutes per tight area, and enjoy. Alright, so Nick's sitting on top of a big 30-inch box. This also works if you're sitting on like a bench or any box really, but what we're going to do is we're going to be mashing out the hamstrings. So here we have the LAX ball, also works with a lacrosse ball or any ball of that sort, but this one's a little bit easier to see. So we're going to go ahead and place it underneath the hamstring. Good. And we're going to apply pressure, kind of roll around, but what we're really going to focus on is flexing and extending the knee while we're applying pressure. So go ahead, tacking it down, threading the muscle through, You go, work down from the knee towards the buttocks. You can also kind of go side to side, working on the lateral part of the hamstring or inside towards the groin. Keep flex and extending the knee. There we go. And you're going to keep this until you're going towards the buttocks. So work all the way down the hamstring, just like that. Another way of mashing out the hamstrings as well as the groin, we can have the barbell placed onto the rack. So it's not exactly low, but it's not high. So you want it to be high enough to where it's kind of difficult to straddle and mount your leg on top. So this way you can add more pressure and add your weight onto the barbell. So Nick's going to show us how to do that. There you go. So he's propping up one leg over, kind of straddling it. His back leg's going to be back, so he's going to be applying more pressure. And here you can just roll down or even just sit on parts of the hamstring. So find these tight spots, work towards the groin, towards your pelvis. Just rolling the barbell. And if you find any tight spots or find some areas that need to be worked on, you can just sit on it and flex and extend the knee. There you go. So bending the leg, extending. It's going to tack the muscle down and thread the muscle through. There you go. You can also focus on different angles of the hamstring, so you can kind of internally rotate the femur and focus on the inside, the adductors here towards the groin, and rolling it, as well as the same tacking technique where we thread it through. So bending and extending at the knee. There you go. Make sure you're applying lots of pressure. And also the lateral portion of the hamstring, rotating externally. There you go, just finding these different angles. Trying to get all sorts of knots kinked out, rolling it, and flexing and extending at the knee. There you go. Alright, so we're going to be mashing out the adductors as well as getting closer to the groin and even hit the psoas as well. So we have a heavy kettlebell. This one is, I believe, like 88 pounds, so it's something heavy that isn't going to move a lot when you mount on it. So it's going to get a little intense. Basically, you can have it perpendicular to your leg. You're going to kind of straddle, bring your leg up, apply pressure, and you can just sit on it or roll back and forth. So you can work towards the knee, towards the V in the middle. Usually recommend the knee gets really tight too, so kind of ease into it, but apply pressure. You can also flex and extend the knee. Work towards the groin. Get the length of your adductors. So right here is really tight, especially anyone that has any super type of deadlifts or a wide stance squat. You get really tight. If your knees are buckling in, your adductors may be tight as well. So really work in towards the groin, up close and personal. What you can also do is have the kettlebell parallel to your adductors, so this kind of gets the whole length at the same time. So find the adductor. It's going to be a tender hand basically, and you want to just sit in there, straddle it, apply pressure. You can flex and extend at the knee. Good. Really just finding different angles that can hit it. I like to rotate it inward like this, so just find different angles and working the adductors. So really, like any tight spot, 2 minutes per side. I'm just working in there, sitting on it, tacking it down, and make sure you get both sides, both adductors. And one more thing, you can also get the psoas as mentioned. So really just kind of facing up, high on the hips, high on the hip flexors. Just get in there. Good. And You'll feel it at, like, at the top of your hips, so that's your psoas.